Hey there, Ddraig here, we've got Total War Warhammer 2 latest DLC, The Hunter and the Beast. This is the first DLC I have covered on my channel, so just a quick mention to new viewers. Now my channel is mainly dedicated to covering all things modding in Warhammer 2, and in future expansions. I cover new units, rosters, overhauls and guides. I'm open to make this YouTube channel the place to go to all information on mods for Total Warhammer 2 and onwards. So if you like the style of this video, feel free to check out the rest of my channel if you have any interest in mods or just want to know some more information about them. So this video is all about the Empire section of the new DLC. So I'll cover a complete roster breakdown, have a look for new additions, and then take you to the battlefield to show you some of my ideas on how to use these units against the AI, and it can also be used against human players. I'm not a big multiplayer expert, but I have got some ideas on how you could use these new units. So with that all being said, let's get on to the roster. So let's start with the roster breakdown with the new legendary lord Marcus Wolfhard, or by his title, the Hunts Marshal. The Empire's captain of scouts and the legendary monster killer. His armour in yore was an elite bunch of monster killers, known to be the most diverse group of warriors in any unit. Born in the dense woods of Ddraig forest, he was a simple huntsman plying his young trade in the forest, when a bone grinder giant arrived at a small village, destroying it completely. Marcus set out to hunt the monster, tracked it to its lair, and cut it down with bow and sword. From then on, he saw no village should suffer the same fate as he did, and spent his time tracking them down. Years later, the Emperor noticed his heroics, and he was offered a knighthood and a large estate, but Marcus wanted to continue his hunt. So the Emperor, who happened to be Karl Franz at the time, gave him an amber bow and was tasked to hire a group of monster killers to go out through the world and do that thing. So Marcus himself is a ranged monster killer, with huge damage of 556, which is unbuffed. 280 of this is AP, a range of 180, making him able to outshoot most units. Also got a massive 120 anti-arch buff, so making him one of the best monster killers in the game. Being able to vanguard, stalk and fire when moving him, make him a useful addition to the battlefield. Close quarters, he has reasonable stats, strong in melee attack and defense, backing the big melee damage. He only has 50 armor, meaning he's very vulnerable to any duelist specialists, so be careful around any of them. No mount options, so he's not as mobile as some. Fleet-footed, adds a bit more speed when dangers around, allowing him to keep one step ahead of your target. This small speed buff is not significant, but it does help him keep away from any other melee fighters. But be aware, anything above that, they will catch him quite easily. If you do get caught, you can use the Hunter's Snare, a very powerful ability, casting a net in a 30-meter circle, capturing all units for 11 seconds. Just remember, the range is only short at 100 meters, so correct timing is key, but it is an instant cast. Next we have Focus Shot, a very powerful magic missile. This ability has an interesting quality. Naturally it's magical and got good AP, which is nice, but it does have more damage on weakened opponents. So use this spell at the right time and it can increase its damage significantly. This is a long cast however, around 6 to 7 seconds, so take that into account. Also, if you are shooting side on, it can miss. In my testing, I missed a Dread Saurian target a few times when he's running power only. So head on seems to be the most advantageous way of hitting a target, because he didn't seem to miss these. Lastly, we have the Amber Bow weapon. Another powerful ranged attack, but quicker to cast at around 4 to 5 seconds. It launches multiple shots at the target, again magical and good armor penetration. It should be noted, these magical shots are all best against large single entities, so make sure you pick the right target. Don't waste it on a lord or foot or a hero. Also notice the on cooldown on these abilities, so make sure you use them at the start or as soon as possible. All his buffs and all his abilities do not affect any other units. They're all personally for him, except for the traditional and courage, which is where the next lord provides these benefits. Taken from the ranks of the elite Huntsman Archer unit, as they are some of the best shots in the Empire, the Huntsman General is a cheap version of Marcus Wolfhard, but brings more buffing to your units than the Hunts Marshal, so do not dismiss him out of hand. Stats wise, he's just a weaker version, but only when it comes to melee combat, where he's significantly more vulnerable than Marcus, with a weaker melee attack and defense. But again, he is a ranged lord and boosts the same damage on his ranged weapon, but not as much AP at only 160, and a slightly small anti-arch bonus at 100. Screw is not as potent a ranged weapon, but still effective. Abilities wise, he brings Oil Flask, a short range ability at only 70 meters, so be aware you have to be very close to your target. This is a very intriguing ability. First it slows down that one unit by half, and then weakens them to fire at the same time. Now as it stands, no unit in the Empire roster has fire damage on by default, but with spells from a Bright Wizard and the Flaming Sword of Ruin, which imbues your units with fire damage, be it range or melee, and of course that extra damage makes this a very potent ability. So with this ability, running a Bright Wizard with the Aura of Fire would be a very handy thing to have in his army. If you haven't got a mage, the Huntsman General also has a buff, Hero of Fire, imbuing fire damage to anyone near him in a 40 meter radius, and a small Rio buff. Just as a note, this is all units, so don't forget this will help your melee infantry as well, or anybody else within this fire buff. Useful when tackling out the undead factions. The archery has a fire arrow, against the nice healing up with a Flask of Oil ability. A good explosive ability against groups of opponents, and can cause quite a bit of damage at a nice range of 200 meters. As you can see, this unit is more about buffing and having synergy with other units, where markers are about sniping ability and taking down large units. Interesting choices to make for army compositions, so match up your units with each yard. And now onto the new units, and all the cards you're going to be seeing are all based on ultra size. The cheapest arch unit in the game at 350 points, even cheaper than Batonia or the Greenskins, so are they any good? Well, you get what you pay for. They can do a bit of damage to any Yo armor unit, mainly due to mass fire. Other than that, they're weak against anything else. But at 350 points, they can do a nice job softening up the enemy's chaff units. They do suffer their short range at 120, as this is one of the shortest range attacks for bow units in the game. Only the Goblins and Beastmen Gores have yes range at 115 with a bow. Next up is the Regiment Renown version of the Archers, the Deathjacks. This unit is highly useful, bringing better damage, Vanguard, Snipe and Stalk, all for 550 points, making a very useful and very flexible unit on the battlefield. That Stalk and Snipe can make it a thorn in the opponent's side when they are not paying attention, especially true in multiplayer. Where if they're not paying attention, they can really cause some nice damage. It's especially good at sniping out artillery or any backline units like missiles. They can hold their own a bit better in melee, but they still only have that 120 range. But with Snipe and Stalk, they have yes issues with their range due to their sneak ability. One thing that I think sometimes goes under the radar is reload speed. This unit is 2 seconds quicker at reloading than the Archers at 7 seconds, compared to 9 for normal Archers, really bringing more damage down in a quick amount of time. This can cause the enemy to break even quicker due to the awesome numbers, due to the Deathjack's higher accuracy. And now the elite unit of bowmen, namely the Huntsmen. They are the most expensive ranged foot missiles in the Empire, at 650 points, 50 points more than handgunners. You get a nice bit of flexibility for the cost though. Vanguard, fire while moving and Stalk. Everything you need from a missile unit. Groups of 2 of these can do a lot of work, and especially that anti-arch bonus of 8. They do have a long reload at nearly 10 seconds, but they are accurate. If protected, they are excellent range 2 against large units, but can also do a job on infantry as well. But that low OP means they will struggle against any armor target. It is best to pick on the large units, and that anti-arch bonus really makes a big difference for the lack of AP. Remember, they can fire while moving, but only stuff in front of them, so if you need to reposition them, make sure you keep them in the line of sight of what they're attacking. That way, they'll do some damage on the move. The White Wolves at 900 points are of course the Regiment of Renown Huntsman unit, providing even more damage across the board, but significantly better in combat. The range damage has been buffed, and are quicker at reloading at 7.7 seconds. This unit really does tear through monsters. With that same anti-arch buff of 8, it's a really big increase with that extra bonus damage. To melee combat means they can charge in some of the weaker units to finish them off, but they still only have that 25 armor, so they should be timed correctly. Preferably, just as the unit is about to break, so you can force them in to complete that route. Onto a fascinating new unit now, the War Wagon, 950 points. 6 missile units, in a wagon being pulled around by 2 horses, using, well, something to guide them. Not exactly sure what this is, but anyway, let's move on. Great armor piercing damage at 15, some quick reloads at only 5.5 seconds, meaning this unit can put a steady stream of fire down the battlefield. They can all do this while moving, and at 50 speed means nearly all infantry cannot catch them. There are very few exceptions that can. Death runners of a Skaven at 54 speed could catch them, but of course that type of speed from a melee infantry is rare, so they can kite nearly all infantry as long as you're on point with your micro. I have noticed they are slow to turn and get up to speed, so give yourself some more room to manoeuvre to be safe. If this unit gets caught, it's pretty much going down. No defence, but it does have at least some armour at 90. But it does easily get slowed down by chaff, and when it gets surrounded, it is a struggle to get them out. However, if you do get a good run up to get that up to that maximum speed, it can be used as a chariot of sorts, but it is risky, and only on your mass units that cannot easily stop it. It can easily go straight through them, and of course your missile units will continue firing as well. The main problem with all artillery in the game is of course it's small and it cannot move. You get into the position when you deploy and you're pretty much stuck there. Enter the war wagon with a mortar at 1100 points. Now you can get into position at the front, get a few shots off, then move it about and gives you a very flexible tool for your army. Supporting all the same stats as the previous unit, it can be used as a chariot of sorts, but it does have a less ammo than the standard mortar, which is 22, so be aware of that. A highly effective unit, and especially good against horde factions. Naturally, this unit needs to be standing still when firing. Now we come to the war wagon, regiment of renown, the Black Irons, a hellblaster on the back of a wagon. At 1800 points, it's a hell of a investment, but the amount of flexibility a mobile cannon can provide is worth the cost if you can protect it. Having the same issues as all wagons and terrible defence, but has the amazing option of allowing you to manoeuvre the unit onto flanks and send a cannon fire into a target from a side or flank. Without huge missile damage, not much can stop them. And yes, in 16 shots doesn't sound like a lot, but it does compensate the 9 salvos per attack, so just bear that in mind. So how do these work on a battlefield? So let's go down there and take each unit and get a close look. So let's have a look at our Yards in the Yard first. And being the Hunts Marshal, he needs a suitable foe. So let's bring on a Ddraig Saurian. We'll use a feral version. For example, this beast is an interesting challenge, but more about that you see old chap in the Isabel breakdown. First is what I would say is a good opener is the Amber Bow. A young cast as shown here, but does a nice bit of damage when it hits. With this used, Marcus can give himself some breathing room with use of a net and firing all the way. After I've used the net, I like to use the other magic ability, Precision Shot, as this is a much younger cast. And now he can retreat back to his ranks. Now he can bring forward a solid block of spears. Okay, that was slightly mistimed, as this huge beasts will need some very special considerations. The Huntsman General has a bit more synergy with his abilities. So that being said, the Flask of Oil ability brings him so much damage potential if used correctly. Here I've used it on some peasants. And now with it applied, we can set our general retreating, and he can buff his troops as he retreats. This is a key point of this ability, it only has a short range, so make sure you time it to hit it correctly, and then as you retreat. While this other ability, Explosive Shot, again with a slight cast time, you can cause some really nice damage. You can just use it as normal, or tie it in with your Flask of Oil ability to really add the damage. So how effective are these 350 point archers? Well, the ideal target is coming down now. I've set up some zombies, slow moving and no armour. As you can see, they melt this unit, and I would say archers are a must pick against any undead faction. They prove so much worth for so little cost. As you can see though, if we bring some silver shields with these goblins, this is another matter and they take very little damage. Showing that making it all important what you target to get your money's worth. With a regiment of renowned death jacks, you're best using them from the side using a Vanguard, Stalk and Sniper build. So we've got some skinks here to take care of. Now, and as we shoot into the flanks, they have no idea where we are. And we can hold them down by spearmen. This is highly effective. I don't know, okay, this is an ideal scenario against the AI, but it just shows you how powerful this ability can be. If you're wondering, at the end of this fight, the spearman got 22 kills, while the Death Sharks got over 70. The Huntsman can be used similar, and here we show the Regiment Renown. These can be used in many different ways, but as I'm showing here, they are perfect behind a unit of spearmen to pepper some incoming crypt ghouls. Notice they actually stun lock some of these crypt ghouls. The standard Huntsman can be used in the same way, or from the flank. They are just a plain nasty against any large foe. They can also do some work against the infantry, but this is where they shine. The War Wagon has a lot of uses on the battlefield, but let's start off with a weakness. Here was a War Wagon, in a Vanguard type position, taking on a unit of zombies. This is not a strength of this unit, as the large massive infantry, they cannot really hold back, and even if they charge into the enemy, they are immediately tied up due to the amount of models they have to get through. However, here they are fighting some Saurus. From here we can weaken the enemy, just as we did with the zombies, and have that solid AP damage. Now we move away, letting them come in, and not staying still. Then we can move the infantry up to lock the Saurus into combat. Now we can swing around our war wagons, and put them in an ideal position, shooting straight into the backs of these warriors. We've got a few units of zombies coming down the hill, but our mortar is in situ in front of our main line. We can really do some really nice things with this mobile artillery. First, we set up a few volleys to weaken them from a safe distance. Now as they move closer, we can launch another volley and then move. Using that viable movement time, we can reload, and then we get into a better position, ready to fire again. In this case, safe beyond our troops, so I up a new volley. There goes the next volley, and then we can again retreat to make sure the minimum range is not affected by this unit. This bringing a very flexible unit to the battlefield, and making artillery even more useful. The exactly same thing can be done with the Black Irons, but even more effective. Now we can set up our artillery in the front, launch a few volleys, and as soon as they are away, we can move to a new location. Here we choose to attack the flank of a unit of undamaged Saurus, and I can see the devastating flank attacks this unit can provide. Also, here I have shown a bug, which may get fixed, but as soon as the hellhound starts in the animation, you can move them away and it will still fire at the place you wanted to, but it will still start to move. It's sneaky, but awesome all at the same time. And that brings us to the end of this video. Hope you enjoyed it, and if you like the style and how I've come across, feel free to check out my other videos. I cover a lot of different mods from the Steam Workshop. I'll put a link here to some guides and a complete list of all the mods I have covered. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you in my next video.